Hello students, today we are going to see our sixth chapter, the Browning version, written by Terence Rattigan. Sir Terence Rattigan was one of the Britain's greatest playwrights. He was knighted in 1977. He was born on 10th June 1911. He was educated at Harrow and Trinity College, Oxford. In 1934, he became a full playwright. The name of some of his successful plays are French Without Tears, After Dance, Flare Path, Love in Idleness, the Browning version, etc. He died on November 30th, 1977. Let us see the chapter. Before we see the chapter, see the words given here. Notice this expression in the text. Infer their meaning from the context. See the first one. Remove. Remove means a division in a school. Slackers. Slackers means unmotivated and lazy students. Muck. Useless. Something unpleasant. Captain. Grounded. Detained. Worked after the official school hours. Got carried away. Got very excited or lose control of your feelings due to strong emotions. Cut. Escape. Go away without permission. Sadist, a person who gets pleasure out of inflicting pain to others. And shriveled up, that means having no feelings. Let us see the chapter. This is an excerpt from the Browning version. The scene is set in a school. Frank is young and Crocker Harris middle-aged. Both are masters. Tableau is a boy of 16 who has come in to do extra work for Crocker Harris. But the letter has not yet arrived and Frank finds Tableau waiting. Frank, do I know you? Tableau, no sir. Frank, what's your name? Tableau. Frank, Tableau? No, I don't. You are not a scientist, I gather. Here, scientist means science stream. No, sir, I am still in the lower fifth. I can't specialize until next term. That's to say, if I've got my remove, all right. As I told remove, it means result. It means the division in a school. In short, we can call it result. Don't you know if you've got to remove? No, sir. Mr. Crocker Harris doesn't tell us the results like the other masters. Now here, Tableau is talking to the one more professor, that is Frank, who was young fellow, and Frank saw Tableau standing and that he went there and he asked his name, and then he said that he was not from the science stream, so that is why he is not knowing him, and then Tableau said that still he has not got his result. Frank, why not? Tableau, well, you know what he's like, sir. Now here he is Mr. Crocker Harris. Frank, I believe there is a rule that from results should only be announced by the headmaster on the last day of term. Tableau, yes, but who else pays attention to it except Mr. Crocker Harris? Now it was the last day of the school and results were going to be announced, but till now it was not announced, as it is going to be announced by the headmaster on the last day of the term. And Mr. Crocker Harris, he was a very disciplined man, and that is why he was always following the rules and regulations. Frank, I admit, but that's no criterion. So you have got to wait until tomorrow to know your fate, have you? Now here criterion means standard by which something is judged. Tableau, yes sir. Supposing the answer is favorable, what then? Now here Frank was asking Tableau about the result. If he is going to get his favorable marks, then what he is going to select? And that is why Tableau says, oh, science, sir, of course. Frank sadly, yes, we get all slackers. Now what is a slacker? Slacker is the lazy students. Tableau protestingly. I'm extremely interested in science, sir. Frank, are you? I am not. Not at least in the science I have to teach. Frank said that he is not at all into subject science, though he was teaching science, but still he was not interested in that. Tableau. Well, anyway, sir, it's a good deal more exciting than this muck, indicating his book. He was holding one book and he called that book a muck. Muck is an unpleasant book. It is also known as a dirty book. It is also known as the book which is not good, useless, right? Frank, what is this muck? Achilles, sir. The Agamemnon. And your considered view is that Agamemnon is muck. Agamemnon is the play. It is the play of Robert Browning's translation of the Greek tragedy. So now he was holding the book and then he called that book a useless book, not interesting, unpleasant. Well, no, sir. I don't think the play is muck. Now, whatever the play in the book, that was not a muck, but exactly, I suppose, in a way, it's rather a good plot, really. A wife murdering her husband and all that. I only meant the way it's taught to us. Just a lot of Greek words strung together and 50 lines if you get them wrong. So, Tableau was having the complaint that book was muck because the plot of the play, it was very good. A wife is murdering her husband and that is all good, but the way of teaching the book was not good, and the book contains lots of Greek words strung together, and that is why he said that the Greek words which were joined together all together, and there were always possibilities of making lots of mistake. Frank, you sound little bitter. Here, Frank is saying that you sound little bitter because the way the book was taught, Tableau was not at all happy with that, and that is why he was little bit angry, unhappy. Tableau, I am rather so. Frank, Captain. Here, Captain. Earlier we saw the meaning of captain. Captain means to wait, to be detained, worked after the official school hours. And he was made to stay in class. He was told by Mr. Crocker Harris to stay after the school. No, sir, extra work. He was captain because he was going to do some extra work for his professor. Extra work on the last day of school? Frank was surprised that what kind of work he was going to do for Mr. Crocker Harris on the last day of the school. Tableau. Yes, sir, and I might be playing golf. You would think he'd have enough to do anyway himself, considering his leaving tomorrow for good. But oh no, I missed a day last week when I was ill. So here I am, and look at the weather, sir. So Mr. Crocker Harris had given him some extra work because he was still in the school, and he said that because he was ill last week, and that is why he has to wait after the school to do some extra work. Bad luck. Still, there is one comfort. You are pretty well certain to get your remove tomorrow for being a good boy in taking extra work. Frank now saying to him that it is a bad luck for him to be staying there after school, but one comfort he was having, that he was going to get his result the very next day, and then he is a very good boy because he is taking extra work. Tableau. Well, I'm not sure, sir. That would be true of the ordinary masters. All right, they just wouldn't dare not to give a chap a remove after his taking extra work. But those sort of rules don't apply to the croc, Mr. Crocker Harris. I asked him yesterday outright. I asked him yesterday outright, but it given me a remove. And do you know what he said? Now tableau says that if it is different with the ordinary masters, but with Mr. Crocker Harris, it is a different thing, because for him different rules are there. Certain rules are not applied by Mr. Crocker Harris. And when Tableau asked him about his marks, and he said what he said. Now Tableau is imitating a very gentle, rather throaty voice. Now Tableau is going to imitate. Imitate means to do something in the same way as someone. And that is why he is going to imitate the voice of his master. And in a throaty is a sounding low and rough voice. My dear Tableau, I have given you exactly what you deserve. Deserves to be worthy of. No less and certainly no more. So the marks given by Mr. Crocker Harris is exactly what Tableau deserves, not less marks or not the more marks. Do you know, sir? I think he may have marked me down rather than up. He might have given me the low marks rather than higher marks for taking extra work. I mean, the man's hardly human. Here, man is Mr. Crocker Harris, and he is hardly human because he's not having any feeling. He breaks off quickly. Sorry, sir. Have I gone too far? Yes, much too far, because he was imitating the voice of Crocker Harris. He was complaining about him, and then he realized that he had gone too far in imitating Tableau. Sorry, sir. I got carried away. Got carried away means got very excited or lose control of the feelings due to strong emotions. Evidently. Evidently means that which can be easily seen or noticed. He picks up the newspaper and opens it. Here, Tableau. Yes, sir. What was that Crocker Harris said to you? Just repeat it, would you? Now, once again, Frank wanted Tableau to imitate that voice once more because he liked to make fun of Mr. Crocker Harris. So, he told Tableau to imitate again. Tableau imitating again. My dear Tableau, I have given you exactly what you deserve, no less and certainly no more. Frank looking severe. Not in the least like him. Read your nice Achilles and be quiet. Now he is giving him advice, like not to be in a very bad or unpleasant mood. Just read your book and sit quiet. Tableau with dislike. Achilles, the name of the book, because he disliked the book. Frank, look, what time did Mr. Crocker Harris tell you to be here? Tableau, 6:30, sir. Well, he's 10 minutes late. Why don't you cut? Cut means to go away, escape without permission. You could still play golf before lockup. Tableau really shocked because one master is telling to leave without permission of the other master. So he was really shocked. Oh no, I couldn't cut here. I couldn't go without Mr. Crocker Harris' permission to be remain absent in the class or to just move away from the place. Cut the crock, Mr. Crocker Harris? He is asking. I shouldn't think it's ever been done in the whole time he's been here. God knows what would happen if I did. He'd probably follow me home or something. See the strict rules of Crocker Harris. Though Frank is telling him to go away because Mr. Crocker Harris had not arrived then, but Tableau refuses to do that as he is afraid of Mr. Crocker. And then Frank, I must admit, I envy him the effect he seems to have on you boys in the form. You all seem scared to death of him. What does he do? Beat you all or something? Now Frank was envy. Yet envy's feeling of wanting to have what someone else has. He was jealous, and that is why he asked tableau that what he is doing, why you all the students are afraid of him, why you all have that fear in you. And then he says that for the fear the students had developed for Mr. Crocker Harris, he is jealous of that. And he also encourages tableau to make fun of Mr. Crocker Harris, right? Then, good Lord, no, he's not a sadist like one or two of the others. Others means here masters. We know the meaning of sadist. Sadist means a person who gets pleasure out of inflicting pain to others. I beg your pardon, Frank said. Tableau. A sadist, sir, is someone who gets pleasure out of giving pain. Frank. Indeed. But I think you went on to say that some other masters. So, what do you mean by the word some other masters? Because not only Crocker Harris, but some other masters are also sadists. They enjoy giving pain to the students. Tableau. Well, of course, they are, sir. I won't mention names, but you know them as well as I do. Of course, I know most masters think we boys don't understand a thing. But, sir, you are different. You're humans, Frank. Other Frank is different than the other masters. You are young, well, comparatively anyway, and you are science, so you are a young teacher plus you are a science teacher and you are different from others. You must know what sadism is. Frank, after a pause. Good Lord, what are our schools coming to? Seeing the opinion of tableau about the masters, Frank was thinking like in what condition the school has come. And then, anyway, the Croc isn't a sadist. Tableau is saying about Mr. Crocker Harris that he is not a sadist. That's what I'm saying. He wouldn't be so frightening if he were, because at least it would show he had some feelings. But he hasn't. He's all shriveled up. Shriveled up means having no feelings. So here tableau is now clarifying that Mr. Crocker Harris, he is not a sadist. Why he is not sadist? Because sadist is a person who gives and enjoys, he having the pleasure of giving the pain to others. But here Mr. Crocker Harris, he is not sadist because he is not having any feelings. His all feelings are shriveled up inside like a nut, and he seems to hate people to like him. It's funny that I don't know any other master who doesn't like being liked. So many teachers are there who liked that students like them. But what about Mr. Crocker Harris? He's quite different. He doesn't like any student liked him, and that is why he was not sadist. Frank. And I don't know any boy who doesn't use that for his own purposes. Tableau. Well, it's natural, sir, but not with the croc. Croc is here, Mr. Crocker Harris. Again, Frank is again and again pointing out the full name of Crocker Harris, and tableau again and again he is using the short form of Crocker Harris, that is croc. Now, Mr. Crocker Harris, the funny thing is that in spite of everything, I do rather like him. I can't help him. See what tableau is saying? That whatever the funny things are there in Mr. Crocker Harris, but though apart from all that kind of things, still he like him and he can't help it out. And sometimes I think he sees it, and that seems to shrivel him up even more when he's seeing that students like him. Then again, after seeing that also, his feelings are not he's not showing his feelings to the student. Frank, I'm sure you are exaggerating. What is exaggerating? To think or describe something larger or greater than it really is. No, sir, I'm not. Informed the other day he made one of his classical jokes. Form means the class. And in the class, one day Mr. Crocker Harris cracked the joke. And the joke was classical. Classical means relating to ancient culture. Of course, nobody laughed because nobody understood it, myself included. In the whole class, nobody laughed at the joke, including Tableau, because nobody understood about the joke. Still, I knew he'd meant it as funny, so I laughed. Though Tableau was not understanding the joke, but he thought, being a name joke, it is always a funny, so he laughed out of ordinary common politeness. Now, here politeness is having or showing good manners, respect for others. So, he want to show respect for Mr. Crocker Harris, and that is why he laughed at his joke. But feeling a bit sorry for him for having made a poor joke, now I can't remember what the joke was, but suppose I make it. Now you laugh, sir. Now Frank laughed because no one laughed at the joke. The joke was not understood by the students, but still Tableau, because of his politeness, he laughed at it. But then he was also feeling sorry because it was a very poor joke. But now he's not remembering joke, and then also he told Frank to laugh. Tableau in a gentle, throaty voice. Tableau, you laughed at my little joke, I noticed. Now Tableau is again imitating Mr. Crocker Harris' voice. I noticed, I must confess, that I am pleased at the advance your Latin has made since you so readily have understood what the rest of the form did not. Now, Mr. Crocker Harris is saying to Tableau that he noticed and he confessed that he was pleased to see that Tableau laughed at the joke. That means he understood the joke. That means he understood certain Latin words which was used in the joke. And now he said that what the rest of the class did not understood, perhaps now you would be good enough to explain it to them so that they too can share your pleasure. Now Mr. Crocker Harris told Tableau to explain the joke to everyone in the class so that everyone can enjoy. The door upright is pushed open and Millie Crocker Harris enters. She is a thin woman in her late 30s, rather more smartly dressed than the general run of schoolmaster's wife. She is wearing a cape and carries a shopping basket. She closes the door and then stands by the screen watching Tableau and Frank. It is a few seconds before they notice. Now, as they both were talking, Miss Millie Crocker Harris, wife of Mr. Crocker Harris, entered. She was a thin woman in her late 30s, and rather she used to dress up very smartly comparison to the other schoolmaster's wife. Right now she was wearing a cape and she was also carrying a shopping basket. Cape is a sleeveless outer garment. And then she was standing and observing Tableau and Frank talking to each other. Frank, come along, Tableau. Move slowly above the desk. Do not be selfish as to keep a good joke to yourself. Tell the others. Now Frank is calling to Tableau to come on the side and tells him to repeat the joke which was told by Mr. Crocker Harris. Frank turns quickly and seems infinitely relieved at seeing Millie. Now, as Tableau moved on the side and he wanted to crack a joke, but before that, Mr. Frank saw Millie. He noticed Millie standing there and then he said, "Oh Lord." And then little bit relief he was feeling, because he thought that there is something unpleasant which was going to be now stopped or avoided. "Oh, hello," Millie, without expression. "Hello." She comes down to the sideboard and pulls her basket on it. Sideboard is a table with drawers, and Millie, she came out inside. She kept her basket on the table. Tableau, moving up to left of Frank, whispering frantically. "Do you think she heard?" Frank shakes his head comfortingly. Millie takes off her cap and hangs it on the hall stand. "I think she did. She was standing there quite a time." Now Tableau was in tension, because Millie was standing there and listening everything, and now he was afraid what to do. And then Tableau, if she did and she tells him, there goes my remove. Now he was worried. If Mrs. Crocker Harris had heard whatever he was imitating about Mr. Crocker Harris, then she would definitely tell him, and then there his marks will be gone. Frank, nonsense. He crosses to the fireplace. Millie takes the basket from the sideboard, moves above the table, and put the basket on it. Now Millie, again she took the basket from the sideboard, went little bit on the side, and again she kept her basket on the table. Millie to Tableau. "Waiting for my husband?" Tableau, moving down left of the table. "Yes. He's at the buses and might be there quite a time. If I were you, I'd go." Now she told that if you're waiting for my husband, he's out somewhere for some work, and that is why if she would be in his place, she would have left. Tableau, doubtfully. "He said most particularly I was to come." Because definitely Mr. Crocker Harris assured Tableau that he's going to come, and that is why he was waiting. Millie, why don't you run away for a quarter of an hour and come back? Now she's asking Tableau to just go away for 15 minutes and then come back. Run and come back. She unpacks some things from the basket. Tableau, supposing he gets here before me, if I would go and Mr. Crocker Harris would come, then? Millie, smiling, "I'll take the blame." She takes a prescription out of the basket. "I'll tell you what, you can do a job for him. Take this prescription to the chemist and get it made up." Tableau, "All right, Mrs. Crocker Harris." He crosses towards the door upright. So here, Tableau, like he was waiting for Mr. Crocker Harris. Millie came there, and then she said that she would take the blame on her if he would go to the chemist and buy some medicines for her. She actually intended to send Tableau from there. She was not urgently in need of the medicines. She only had a strong urge to help the poor boy to enjoy his freedom. Mr. Crocker would not mind, because the prescription given by the doctor was for him and not Mrs. Millie Crocker Harris. Tableau's marks are to be given by Mr. Crocker. He was yet to declare marks for Tableau. If Mr. Crocker would not find Tableau on his arrival, then he would not give him his result, the required division, the required marks. In such a case, Tableau would not be promoted. It was for this reason that Tableau did not want to take a chance of leaving the school before the arrival of Mr. Crocker Harris. When he comes to know that the medicines are for Mr. Crocker, he is convinced to go to the chemist, and then at once he left the school. I hope you have understood the chapter. Please read it again, find out the meanings of the difficult words, and learn them. Thank you.